بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا اللهم زدنا علما إنك أنت عليم حكيم اللهم اجعل هذه الدروس حجة لنا لا حجة علينا يا رب العالمين أما بعد. To proceed, this is our first class in the book Kitab Talaaq, the book of divorce. It's taken from the works of, or the book inside of the book inside of the book, Zaad Al-Mustaqni. Zaad Al-Mustaqni. We're actually continuing what we stopped. The last time we had class was in this particular book was before Ramadan. And we finished with Kitab Al-Nikah. Kitab Al-Nikah. Today, inshallah ta'ala, we'll be starting Kitab Al-Talaaq, the book of divorce. Before we get into the book of divorce, I think it's important, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the effects of divorce, the harmful effects of divorce, and also there are harmful effects of staying married in a situation that is toxic. We find, and research has shown, that people, when they stay in bad marriages, the likelihood of them having mental and physical health issues have been recorded. It was a study that was done by some psychologists some years ago as it relates to people staying in bad marriages and consequently it leading to them having bad health. All this information is readily available. You can research it. But I also think, as it relates to divorce, and it's something that is also very important, is that when spouses decide to get divorced and you have children are sometimes neglected or not really considered. A lot of times, parents may decide to separate in part and not think about how that affects the children. So in some cases, for example, you may find women in general, some cases, they may use the kids as a pawn against the father. And so for that reason, perhaps they get a divorce, she has her children, and she marries someone else and tries to put that new husband onto her kids and forget about the children's father, etc. And I'm not saying that, the opposite. This is one case, one scenario. And in those scenarios, what's not considered is how those children feel. So it's important for parents to consider, when getting a divorce and you have children, how it affects them, how it affects the children, and how do you plan on coexisting with children involved. There has to be a mature conversation because, as we know, every marriage will not work. And for that reason, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala legislated divorce. And for that reason, Allah Jalla wa ala legislated a divorce. So, like I said, I feel like it would be negligent on my part to talk about divorce but not talk about the harmful effects of it. They say that, this is research, they say that many children, when they see their parents split, a lot of times they may suffer mental health issues. And it is for parents to be aware of that, be cognitive of that, and consider how, as parents, we can better assist our children as they go through those changes in their lives. This is real. This is not a game. This is real life. Additionally, when people get married, essentially, they don't get married to get divorced. The plan wasn't, okay, we're going to get married, have children, and then separate. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in His infinite wisdom, Allah knows that people, potentially, they will grow apart. It happens. And so, for that reason, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us guidelines and how to go about that process. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us guidelines and how to deal with that process when it happens. So, what does Talaaq mean? What does it mean?
Like to break or untie something.
To break or untie something. That's good. MashaAllah. Where you get that from? We got a cheat sheet?
Just read now.
Huh?
Read now.
MashaAllah. Yes. To break or untie something. Is there a particular way a person is supposed to get divorced?
Particular way?
Huh? Like, for example, when men get divorced,
Yes. Yes.
when men get divorced, huh? What do they say? How do people get divorced?
Salam salam.
Or people don't get divorced?
People get divorced.
They get divorced. How do they get
Maybe
divorced?
you need to rephrase the question.
How do people get divorced?
How they do it in Philly?
Yes, how they do it?
But
How is
it
it
should be
done?
done.
Huh?
How it should be done. How we do it in Philly.
How is it done? Now, we want to talk about how it should be done. Right now, we want to know how it gets done so we can fix how it should be done. Or understand how it should be done.
In most cases, people just say you're divorced despite the time frame or whatever, and that's just kind of, unfortunately, that's what
Okay.
happens in most cases.
No, you don't get divorced.
They don't get divorced. What do you mean?
Divorce is happening, we know that, but there's this thing where it's just not wanting to divorce.
So the brother says in Philly, people don't get divorced. So what happens?
I don't know what that means.
I ain't saying literally shake. I'm not saying this.
No, I know you mean literally. So what happens? I'm gonna let you marinate on that.
I mean, I don't want to make up. Let's say what happens.
Break up for a couple weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's basically like a breakup instead of an actual.
A breakup.
Right, instead of an actual divorce. We know that's not according to the Sharia, but a lot of times culturally that's what happens here.
Interesting.
It's treated like a break. It's treated like a breakup.
Okay. Okay.
This happens. Separated. Yeah, like a separated. Next thing you know, okay, you still married. Oh, yeah, we didn't get this divorce.
No reconciliation.
It's
So,
right. It's,
so basically, people they get separated
right.
or divorced, but they don't really understand.
Okay, so prior to Islam, let's say someone had a marriage or whatever by the state.
Right.
So sometimes there's like legal separation, as they call it.
Legal separation.
That's what they
Okay.
call it. Of course, call
Okay.
it legal separation. So they'll bring a legalized separation mentality to Islam, where we're married. I'm not dealing with you, no rights, I don't want rights, but I'm doing my thing over you.
So basically, so in this case, it's called leaving a woman mu'allaqa,
right.
meaning she's married but she's not married.
That's
She's
what I-
married but she doesn't have no rights. No one cares. That's what you're getting at.
Right, right.
All right. Inshallah, we'll talk about that too.
No.
Tayyib. Kitab al-Talaaq. Now, we're going to cover a lot throughout this book. Some things may not be relevant because it just may not be something that we understand in our society and it doesn't happen. Or it could be for other reasons. As it relates to Talaaq, Talaaq is a takhalliya, meaning to separate or free yourself or to separate from. The legislative meaning of Talaaq, حل قيد النكاح أو بعضه. It means to release the grips of marriage, to remove yourself from the grip or from the tie of being married. Like, what is the ruling on getting divorced? Huh?
You take all the rulings.
It takes what?
You can take all the
It
rulings.
takes all the rulings. What are all the rulings?
And it could be,
Huh?
it could be wajib.
It could be wajib.
It could be haram.
It could be haram.
It could be dislike.
It could be dislike.
Yeah.
Yes. So, getting a divorce, there can be. It can comprise of all 5 of the rulings in Islam: wajib, sunnah, mubah, makruh, hated, and muharram, haram. We're going to mention some of those reasons now, inshallah ta'ala, for each of the five. Abu Musa Hajjawi, rahimahullah ta'ala, in his talkhis, or summarized portion of this book, he starts off by saying, Yubahu lil hajati. Yubahu lil hajati. Meaning, it is permissible to get a divorce if a person feels the need to. Yubah, meaning, it's not praise and it's not dispraise. It's mubah. That's like drinking a cup of water, putting it down, it's mubah. Right. And they say, Yubahu Talaaq, meaning it's permissible to get a divorce, lil haja, if the man feels he needs to get a divorce. He said, so example they would use, Kasu'i khuluq al-mar'a. For example, if his wife has bad character. وَالتَّضَرُّ بِهَا مَعَدْمَ حُصُولَ الْغَرَضِ. Or there's some harm coming from him being married to that particular woman. In this case, it is mubah for him to get a divorce. The second one, yukrah. Some of the ulama say it's hated to get a divorce if there's no need to. There's no reason to get a divorce. Why would you divorce the sister? Right? And they use a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. It says, أَبْغَضُ الْحَلَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ الطَّلَاقِ. The most hated halal thing to Allah is talaq. Now, this hadith, there's some kalam in this hadith. Meaning, many of the scholars of hadith do not hold this hadith to be authentic. However, for example, modern day scholar like Shaykh Uthaymeen, rahimahullah ta'ala, he holds the meaning of this hadith to be true. He holds the meaning of this hadith to be true. And this is something that many of the scholars of Islam, they mention. We're going to go back to that in a minute. First, I wanted to mention, we're going to go back to talaq, right? Talaq has been legislated in the Quran, in the Sunnah, and then what else? Quran, Sunnah, and what else?
Ijma.
Ijma. Ahsant. It's important because when everyone wants to talk about Quran and Sunnah, in order for us to have rules in our religion and understand them, we must understand that things come from the Quran, from the Sunnah, and what ties it all in is ijma. What ties it in is al-ijma. What is al-ijma? Consensus. Consensus of who?
Well, the
Huh?
Sahaba.
The Sahaba. Right. This is al-ijma' la yukhtalafu fi. This is al-ijma', a consensus that there is no difference of opinion in. That which comes from ijma' that has been legislated after that or narrated after that, there may be some difference of opinion on whether or not there is ijma'. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as it relates in the Quran, Allah Jalla wa ala, He says in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 229, الطلاق مرتان فإمساك بمعروف أو تسريح بإحسان. Allah Jalla wa ala, He says الطلاق مرتان. What does that mean? A talaq is twice. Why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying talaq is twice? Are we how many talaqs or divorces do you have? Huh? 3. Why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say at-talaqu marratan? Say again? 2 is to reconcile. Ahsant. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says at-talaqu marratan. Allah says talaq is 2 talaq, 2 divorces. After you have your 2 divorces, Allah says what? فَإِمْسَاكٌ بِمَعْرُوفٍ. You either hold on to her in goodness or tasrihun bi-ihsan, or let her go with ease. Sometimes when men divorce women, they want to put hardships on them, make it difficult for them. If you're not going to be married to me, I'm going to make it like crazy for you to go. Huh? Or the other way around. Right? But in general, this khitab here is for the men now. This ayah here says, الطلاق مرتان فإمساك بمعروف أو تسريح بإحسان. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhan nabi, إِذَا طَلَّقْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ فَطَلِّقُوهُنَّ لِعِدَّتِهِنَّ. And we're going to talk about that too. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhan nabi, O Prophet, O Muhammad, إِذَا طَلَّقْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ, if you divorce the women, فَطَلِّقُوهُنَّ, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands them, then divorce them as it relates to their iddah. We're going to talk about that too, what that means. Not right now, as we continue on the lesson today, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to discuss that. As for sunnah, فَرَوَى ابْنِ عُمَرْ أَنَّهُ طَلَّقَ إِمْرَأَتَهُ وَهُوَ حَائِضٌ. And we're going to talk about that too. In another case, we find that some of the companions may have divorced, Ibn Umar in particular, he divorced his wife while she was on her menses. And we're going to discuss that as well. What's permissible and impermissible as it relates to Talaaq. Also, ijma'. It says, أجمع الناس على جواز الطلاق. There's a consensus from the scholars of the past, meaning the Sahaba, that getting a divorce is permissible. So no one can tell you that getting a divorce is haram, etc. Unless we cover one of these issues we're going to cover. So from the 5 ahkam, from the 5 rulings of Talaaq, the first one is mubah, meaning that it is permissible to get a divorce if one is in need to get a divorce. Question? Thank you. Sure? Huh? Like, the next one, yukra, is hated. Divorce can be hated if there's no reason to get a divorce. The next one is mustahab, recommended. When can a divorce be recommended? Huh? What can be recommended? When is it recommended for a woman to give, or for a woman to be divorced? Huh? Because she doesn't pray? Nah. That might be lying. No, I don't say that. Because it's permissible to be married to non-Muslims. But in that case, it might be under the case of ridda. That's a whole other topic. Huh?
She's disobedient.
So, it may be recommended. Actually, some of the ulama do mention if she leaves off the salat, it may be recommended to divorce his wife. Some of them mention if a woman constantly asks for a khul'ah, in this case, it might be recommended for him to divorce her. It's recommended to divorce her in a case like that. Right. The next one. When is it wajib for a person? Can it ever be wajib for a man to divorce his wife? Someone says, Akhi, it's wajib that you divorce her. What's a wajib? Huh? If she removes herself, doesn't mean she's wajib. That may be different depending on if it's a ridda, then perhaps. Huh? But she can't be married to somebody else. That's impossible. Islamic truth. Then right now we're talking about Islamic judicial law. It's not possible to be married to 2 men. That means it's not possible. Meaning they can go through the nikah process, but it's batil. So it's not possible. So the issue is, when is it wajib for a man to divorce his wife?
Adultery?
Right.
Well, one instance would be if the man questions whether or not the child is his.
If a man questions whether or not the child is his?
If remember the class that you gave concerning the bed, if the woman gives birth, what I understand,
If a woman gives birth to a child and she's married, then the origin is that child belongs to him.
Right, but if he questions
If he questions and have doubts, does that mean it's wajib that he divorces her, or is that something that he recommended? We're talking about wajib, meaning that if he doesn't, he's sinful.
Right. Okay. I see what you're
Do you understand the question?
I do, but
If she doesn't give him his rights back. Meaning is the issue is if a man does not divorce his wife, in this case, he is sinful.
Nigga, she's just flat out dude.
So here is something called ila. Has anyone ever heard of the term ila? Ila is when a man, he swears not to be intimate with his wife for more than 4 months. Well, we're going to cover that too. There's a book called Kitab al-Ila, which means that if a man swears not to be intimate with his spouse for more than 3 months, if that happens, at that point in time, it becomes obligatory for him to divorce his wife by court order. By court order, meaning a judge, they're going to be brought in front of a judge. She's going to say, he swore not to be intimate with me for 4 months. If that time comes, she'll go and complain to the judge, he still was not intimate with me. And at that point in time, the judge will force him to divorce her. Period. At this time, it becomes wajib. Like, is there any divorce that are haram? Is it haram for a person to divorce his wife at any point in time? Brother look like, oh, what do you mean? So if she's on her midst, it's haram to divorce her? So if she's pregnant, you can't divorce her? You can't?
Yes, you can. You can divorce her if she's pregnant.
That's you. Is that true? Can you divorce a woman if she's pregnant?
No, yeah.
Yes.
You can.
She enters into it.
She enters into it. How does she enter into it? Idda when?
She wasn't until she
Until she gives birth.
She's in the idda until she. The question. So the question is, can you divorce a woman when she's pregnant?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. That's all we want to know. We'll get into the details later. All right. All this is preliminary. So there is a divorce that is haram. The divorce that is haram is a bid'ah. So we're going to find out what does Talaaq bid'ah and sunnah. We're going to discuss that too, inshallah. Right. So the Musannif, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَيَسِحُّ. Now we're talking about Talaaq, divorce. وَيَسِحُّ مِنْ زَوْجٍ مُكَلَّفٍ مُمَيِّزٍ يَعْقِلُهُ. Who can pronounce a divorce? The man that is mukallaf, meaning he knows right from wrong. He's of age. He's past the age of Islamic puberty. While mumayyiz, he's able to know right from wrong. Ya'qiluhu, he has sound intellect. Al-Talaaq is sahih, is authentic, is correct, coming from this person, right? And then it says, وَمَنْ زَالَ عَقْلُهُ مَعْذُورًا لَمْ يَقَعْ طَلَاقُهُ. Whoever somehow loses their mental stability, if that makes sense, in this case, the divorce does not count. Like what? What are some examples? Some examples would be a junoon. If a person becomes, junoon. I know I'm saying that. Insane? A person reaches a state of insanity. If a person reaches a state of insanity, let's say a man's married to a woman, he reaches a state of insanity and he loses his mind, he says she's divorced. My wife is divorced while he's in this state, it doesn't count. How will who know? How would you know? That's a good question. Is that the question? How would you know? How would the man know or how would the woman know? Maybe he got a mental assessment. How else would we know somebody has some insanity? Yeah, well, so we're going to talk about that too. All right. So the general rule is, if there's a form of some type of insanity, then this does not count. The next one is mughma alayh. Perhaps a person is unconscious, but they're talking. Is it possible for a person to be passed out in the daze, but they're speaking? If the person divorces his wife in this state, it doesn't what? It doesn't count.
All this falls under haram divorce.
We passed haram. Haram was 2 sections ago. Right now, who can pronounce a divorce? We'll talk about that. Now we're talking about whoever loses their intellect with an excuse, with a legislative excuse, then the divorce doesn't count. What is a legislative excuse that we mentioned? A person having insanity, a person passing out, etc. Right? And then it says, وَعَكْسُهُ آثَمْ. If a person loses their intellect by any other means that is not legislatively approved, then they are sinful. Then they are sinful. The next part. وَمَنْ أُكْرِهَ عَلَيْهِ ظُلْمًا. Let's say, for example, a person comes to you and says, I'm going to force you to divorce your wife. I'm going to force you to divorce your wife. Right? So the brother says, I'm not doing that. And he says, if you don't do it, I'm going to hurt you. No, this is a text. If you don't divorce, I'm going to hurt you. Right? So in this case, a man divorces his wife. Or, liwaladihi. Or a person says, if you don't divorce your wife, I'm going to hurt your son. Or, a person says, if you don't divorce your wife, I'm going to take your money, all your money. Or, a person says, if you don't divorce your wife, I'm going to do some real harm to you. And they make a condition here. قَادِرًا يَذُنُّ إِقَاعَهُ بِهِ فَطَلَّقَ تَبْعًا لِقَوْلِهِ لَمْ يَقَعْ. So, when this happens, if someone threatens you and a person, okay, I'll divorce my wife. If a person does that in a state like that, those divorces do not count. They do not what? Alright, so let's back up. We first talked about, we said, مَنْ زَالَ عَقْلُهُ. Whoever intellect, if a person's intellect is somehow, they lose their intellect briefly, through insanity or what have you, this divorce doesn't count. Likewise, if a person oppresses someone and says, you gotta divorce this sister, I'm gonna hurt you, I'm gonna put my hands on you, I'm gonna do this and that to you. And if you say, okay, I'm gonna divorce her, and he divorces her, this also doesn't count. Like, then we're gonna talk about divorces that do count. It says, وَيَقَعُ الطَّلَاقُ فِي نِكَاحٍ مُخْتَلِفٍ فِيهِ. So, there's a divorce that we have marriages where some people may have gotten married without having a wali. Have anyone ever heard of situations like this? Yes. A sister may get married without a wali. Right? An-Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, La nikah illa bi wali. An-Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, there's no marriage unless there is a wali. Right? So here it says, يَقَعُ الطَّلَاقُ فِي نِكَاحٍ مُخْتَلِفٍ فِيهِ. If a sister or a brother is married, and after investigation, we find out that she did not have a wali, is her marriage valid? Huh? No. Is her marriage valid? Now let's think for a minute, right? If we lived in a country like Saudi Arabia, for example, the ulama, they will say it's not valid. If we lived in a country where people practice the fiqh of Imam Abi Hanifa, they will say that marriage is what? It's valid. So here in America, where we live, where we're not all from one place and there's Muslims all over the world, are you going to say a marriage like that is invalid? La.
On that point, I had a question. If the sister was raised on the Hanafi method, how would that be?
So that's what we're going to talk about. So this is why this is called a nikah mukhtalifun fi, meaning this is a nikah that there's a difference of opinion on its authenticity. Whether the nikah is valid or not, there's a difference of opinion from the scholars of Islam on this. And in this case, let's say, for example, a couple comes in front of you, you're listening to them, the couple comes in front of you, and they say that, I just divorced her. The question is, okay, well, when we got married, she didn't have a wali, right? Because there's a lot, there's a lot of things that are based on this, right? So you say, okay, well, according to the school of Imam Ahmed, this counts as a talaq, right? Someone else may say, we don't count this. That means if they have children, and if you don't consider their marriage to be valid, then some may consider their children to be from children of zina, right? Some of them may say, okay, this is considered what shubha, meaning this is a doubtful marriage, but the children will still go back to the father. There's a lot of technical things that are associated with it. We didn't want to go into it too deep. Thank you. Yes.
What about those who get married having a wakil?
We'll talk about that, inshallah. I don't even know what a wakil is. What's a wakil?
We went over that already. Yeah.
What's a wakil?
It's something that a lot of sisters believe that they have.
We'll talk about that, inshallah. Actually, we're going to cover that in the next couple parties. وَمِنْ غَضْبَانِ. Wait. If a person is mad at their wife, and they say, I divorced my wife when I'm angry, does the divorce count? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Depends.
Yes. So what you say, that's bad.
So, a divorce, when a person is mad, a husband is mad, I don't know many men that are happy when they get a divorce. This is what one of the ulama said when we were covering this. I don't know many men that are jumping for joy when they divorce their wives. So then, obviously, ghadban, if he's upset, the divorce is going to count. So then, where is it where they mention that the divorce doesn't count? This is because some of the ulama, they mention man lam yazil aqluhu, as long as the intellect is not gone. Some people may reach a state of anger where they just lose their mind, like all the way lose their mind. And I don't mean a person like I'm gonna lose my mind. No, like really, like they don't even know what they're saying, what they're doing. They just lost all consciousness. This type of anger. Not just, well, you know what, the brother, well, he was angry when he divorced. Yeah, well, he wasn't going to be happy. I don't know how many men was happy when they got divorced. I don't know. Are people happy when they get divorced? Really? Women might be happy. Huh? Yes, divorce. Right? Sometimes. I mean, generally speaking, is a man happy when he gets a divorce? No. It's not something he's high-fiving his man about. Like, the next part, it says, وَمِنَ الْغَضْبَانِ وَوَكِيلُهُ كَهُوَ. Now, we're going to talk about a wakil. First of all, what is a wakil?
Wakil is someone who represents a wali. If he
The
is
sisters are talking. Sisters, a representative. A wakil is a representative. So it says here, وَوَكِيلِهِ كَهُوَ. That means, let's say, for example, Muhammad. We'll use Muhammad right here. Muhammad says, Abdullah. Muhammad says, Abdullah, I'm going to give you the authority to divorce me from my wife whenever you feel like it. What? Think about that. You, meaning the man, can say, listen, I'm going out of town, go ahead and divorce my wife for me. Tell her she's divorced, or I'm going to give you that authority in this situation to divorce my wife on my behalf. Whenever you see ready, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and divorce my wife for me. That man now is acting as a wakil for the who? For the husband. That man is wakil for who? For the husband. Does that make sense? It doesn't. Let's back up. Right now, you're traveling. Shake. You're traveling, right? You're going out of town. All right. But you and your wife, y'all been beefing forever. You don't feel like talking to her. You don't want to deal with her. You don't have no rap for her. I have no rap. You tell your man, listen, whenever you feel like it, man, just call up and tell her she's divorced. Or, whenever you feel like it, you make the call. You're my wakil, you're my representative, you're my man, you know how I feel about the situation. Whatever, I'm going to give you that authority in this situation. He leaves town. The brother here can divorce his wife on his behalf. Is that clear? Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. Why doesn't it make sense? Why would a man do that?
Yeah, why would you send another man to talk to somebody to steal your wife?
What do you mean steal your wife?
If she's still your wife, how could you send another?
Oh, you mean she's still your wife?
Yeah, she's still your wife. Why would you send another man
To divorce your wife for
to
you?
talk to your wife? Yeah, she's still your wife. You might change your mind while you're gone. No, I don't want him to come.
I'm confused.
So am I.
No. I'm confused what you're saying. No. Listen. A man, you right now you're mad at your wife. You don't want to talk to her. You've been going through problems forever. You tell him, look, man, whenever you feel like it, just divorce my wife for her. I don't even want to talk to her. If you feel like it, you can divorce her for me. If you feel like it. Yes, it's permissible.
Why wouldn't you just
It has to be realistic. The word I mentioned. Talk about it.
You don't want to talk to your wife. Right? Nothing else to say. Right? I say, yo, call her right now and tell her she's divorced.
There you go. That's another one. So the brother,
And even when she does that, she's an idiot.
so listen, he says, Saeed mentioned, what if you don't want to talk to your wife? He said, look, Treese, call my wife up, tell her it's over. Tell her it's over. I don't got nothing to say to her. He calls her, listen, your husband said it's over. Is that realistic? Is that realistic? That's the same thing.
Where's her wali?
Huh?
Where's her wali?
What's her wali?
Yeah, why not tell her wali?
It's not a necessity that you tell the wife's wali that she's getting divorced. It's not a necessity. Understand that. It's not a necessity. Before I divorce, I got to notify 2 witnesses and bring everybody to the table and let them know I'm divorcing my wife. You don't have to do that. Obviously, it's better. It's good to let people know, obviously. That way, because we have problems now, brother, I divorced her 3. She's like, man, he divorced me 3 times. No, it was only 2. It was only 2 times. And then she's naming it 3 times. He's like, no, that one ain't, I don't remember that one. That's why it's important when you get a divorce, you let people know so it's recorded. Right? Right. So the next one, it says, وَوَكِيلِهِ كَهُوَ وَيُطَلِّقُ. So the wakil, he's allowed to يُطَلِّقُ وَاحِدَةً. He's allowed to divorce her 1 time, مَتَى شَاءَ, whenever he feels like it. Whenever he feels like it, except for a talaq that's a bid'ah. Except for a talaq that's a bid'ah. وَامْرَأَتُهُ كَوَكِيلِهِ فِي طَلَاقِ نَفْسِهَا. A woman, now here's another case. A man could be married to his wife, and they're beefing. And he says to his wife, you know what? I'm going to make you my wakil, so you can divorce me whenever you feel like it. Yes, that's another situation.
Say that again, sir.
Yeah, a sister, a brother can make his wife his wakil in divorcing herself from the marriage. That's another case. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. If you made her walk in the representative.
Only because we never
Whoever
heard-
says it doesn't make sense, why doesn't it make sense? Not that I'm seeing. What I'm saying is, can you conceptualize what's going on? What's going on is that a wakil is a representative for who? For anyone. The husband told his wife, "I'm going to make you my representative in divorcing you from yourself from this marriage." This is not a khul'ah. And tabihu, this is not a khul'ah. If a brother says to his wife, listen, whenever you want to get it, I'm going to put that in your hands. Whenever you want a divorce, you get a divorce. It's not a khula, none of that. Okay? And then they give an example. إِذَا قَالَ لَهَا طَلِّقِي نَفْسِكِ. If the husband says to his wife, divorce yourself whenever you're ready. طَلِّقِي نَفْسِكِ. Divorce yourself. And it says, فَلَّهَا أَن تُطَلِّقْ نَفْسَهَا طَلْقَةً مَتَّى شَاءَتْ وَيُبْطِلُ بِالرُّجُوعِ. And it says, if he gives that to her, then she can divorce herself from the marriage one time whenever she feels like it. Huh? But this divorce is returned if he decides to take her back. Obviously, it's not if it's not a third divorce. Is that clear?
No.
You said no?
No, that's
No, I
not.
said no.
It's not clear?
Not to me.
Right. What's not clear, sisters? Nothing that I said was clear. Right, no problem. No, it's okay. So, we're just going to back up real quick. We're going to go back. I think the issue is, who is a wakil? What is a wakil? Are we stuck on a wakil and wali issue? The whole
Might be the class for himself.
what
It's clear. It might not be clear.
all right.
to some people.
No, it might not be clear. Right. All right, so listen. We're going to start from Kawakilihi Kahua. The first thing we're going to go back to saying, sisters, if you don't understand, just listen. First thing we're going to say is this. If a man tells another man, you can be my representative in divorcing my wife. For example, he calls he's at a point where he doesn't want to speak to his wife. He says to his friend or brother, in my marriage whenever you're ready. And he calls his wife the next day and says, you're divorced. Is that clear?
Yes.
I'm talking to the sisters. Is that clear? What do they say? Yes or no? They said no.
Yes.
Wrong. Right. The next one is when a brother, the husband, gives his wife the ability to divorce herself. What does that mean? That means he's making his wife a wakil. What is a wakil? A wakil is a representative. So in other words, are you saying that the husband is making the wife the representative of the husband? Yes. The husband is making the wife his representative in removing her from the marriage whenever she sees fit. That's what that means. Yes.
Wakil is only for a man, not a woman.
A wakil could be for a man or a woman. But a wakil, that we're not talking about wakil for marriage. We're talking about a wakil in general. So for example, sisters, if you're doing business and you're going out of town and you tell this brother, listen, I need you to go to the store and buy XYZ for me. I need you to do this, that, and the next. That person is your wakil.
No.
Meaning he is your representative.
No.
As it relates to marriage, a woman cannot have a wakil because Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, La nikah illa bi wali, that there is no marriage unless a woman has a wali. So her wali can have a wakil, but she can't have a wakil. Does that make sense?
Yes.
If it doesn't make sense, I'll explain it again. Let's say, for example, a sister wants to get married. And what's commonly practiced here, a sister says, this brother's my wakil. This is a ghalat. This is wrong. Whoever taught this made a mistake. This is inaccurate. A sister does not have a wakil when it comes to getting married. This is false. I don't know where that came from. I don't know where it started, but it needs to stop. Oh.
So what is the true ruling on that? If that is not true, then how does the sister get married if she can't have one when it comes to marriage?
If she can't have what?
A wakil?
She has a wali.
Oh, jazakallah.
Yeah. So a sister must have a wali, not a wakil. Now her wali, he can identify a wakil for him. Does that make sense?
No.
The wali can have a wakil for him. Let's say, for example, She comes to the masjid and she says, I want the masjid to be my wali. It's kind of like when the ulama mentioned a sultan waliyu man la waliyu lah, meaning the rulers or the leaders or the people in charge are the wali for the women that don't have a wali. Cool. Now, once you come to that masjid, the masjid might say, okay, you know what? Idris here, he's going to be the wakil for the masjid, representing that system. But the wali is still who? The masjid. The wali is who? The masjid. Now the masjid says, okay, we're going to appoint this person right here to represent her. He's the wakil for who? The masjid. He's representing the masjid. The masjid is representing who? The sister. The masjid is her what? Wali. The brother is his what? Wakil. Ahsant. Is that clear?
Yes.
Right. Let's move on to the next part. Now we're going to talk about Al-Talaaq Sunni versus Al-Talaaq Bid'i. Al-Talaaq Sunni versus Al-Talaaq Bid'i. What is a bid'ah? Does anybody here know?
Anything newly invented into the religion.
Everybody in this city needs to know what a bid'ah is. That's the only thing everybody knows. What's a bid'ah?
Anything newly invented into the religion.
Don't stutter, Akhi. We got you recorded. Something that is what? Not authorized. Is that a bid'ah though? What's a bid'ah?
Something that's newly invented.
A newly invented matter that is used for what purpose?
Worship or whatever.
It's used to get closer to Allah. Understand this. Bid'ah is something that is newly invented and is used to get for ibadah. It's used a new form of ibadah or a new form of worship and getting closer to Allah. Yes.
Can it also be taken away from the religion? Like
Mm.
somebody say that's not part of the religion.
It depends on what they're doing from it.
Right. Taken from the religion. That's either added to the religion or taken from the religion. That is not of the Sunnah. That's not an innovation. That's not a bid'ah.
It depends, Sheikh.
Right. That's why I was saying.
I said it depends though.
Right. Okay.
I think
If
take something
you
away from
offense-
the religion. It could be kufr.
That's what I'm
there
saying.
you go.
But
The brother told me, right, he said he didn't believe in the Sunnah of Rasulullah. I said, subhanallah. Allah, no more conversation after that. That was it.
like Sahih. Right. So the Musannif, he mentions, he says, إذا طلقها مرة في طهر لم يجامع فيه وتركها حتى تنقضي عدتها فهو السنة. So the first thing we're going to mention is a talaq that is sunnah. A talaq that is sunnah, pay attention to this. A talaq that is sunnah. إذا طلقها مرة. If a man divorces his wife, مرة, one time. So then the sunnah is divorce her how many times? You said 3. Yeah, she. You ain't paying attention. It says, إذا طلقها مرة. If he divorces her one time, so the sunnah is divorce her how many times? We're talking about in one sitting. Once. Right? طهر لم يجامع فيه. And he divorces her in a time period that he was not intimate with her. What does that mean? That means her menses went off and he was not intimate with her and he divorced her during that time period. The third part, وَتَرَكَهَا حَتَّى تَنْقَضِي عِدَّتَهَا. And he leaves her until she finishes her iddah. This is sunnah. Is that clear? Right, so what is a bid'ah then? A bid'ah is tahramu thalath. If a person divorces his wife 3 times in one sitting, this is considered a what? A bid'ah and is haram. Some of the ulama say if you divorce her 2 times in one sitting, tukrah. This is hated. The sunnah is 1 time. The sunnah is 1 time. وَإِن طَلَّقَ مَنْ دَخَلَ بِهَا فِي حَيْدٍ أَوْ طُهْرٍ وَطِئَ فِيهِ فَبِدْعَةٌ. If a person divorces her while her menses is on, This is a bid'ah. If a man divorces his wife, let's say for example, and this happens, 9 out of 10 divorces happen just like this. If a wife's, her menses go off, husband's intimate with his spouse, and then he divorces her during that time period. This is a bid'ah.
Repeat that one more time.
Let's say, for example, your wife, her menses goes off, you're intimate with her after that, and then sometime after that, without her menses coming on, you divorce her during that time period. This is a bid'ah. The sunnah is, if you plan on divorcing your wife, once her iddah is over, and if you're intimate with her and you plan on divorcing her, then you have to let her menses come on again and go off, then it's halal for you to divorce her. Does that make sense? Sisters, did that make sense? Right. So in most cases, if it's not done that way, this is a bid'ah. Right. Lakin a bid'ah yaqa, but it happens. It still counts as a divorce. Su'a? What's your?
What is this? How you do it 3 times?
How do you divorce a woman 3 times in one sitting? How? What does it look like? Okay. A person can be sitting in front of his wife and says, "You're divorced, you're divorced, you're divorced," 3 times. Now, some of the ulama, they say, if a person, you have to ask the person now, the husband, when you said she's divorced 3 times, this is what the judges will do. They'll say, if you divorce her 3 times, did you say the other 2 times, ta'keedan li awwal, meaning, did you say you're divorced, divorced, divorced? Did you say it the second 2 times just to emphasize the first time? That's the first. Or did you say it 3 times and you meant 3 separate divorces? If you meant 3 separate divorces, then this is haram, but yaqa, but it happens. Meaning, if a brother says to his wife, "You're divorced 3 times right now. You're divorced 3 times right now," that means he can't take her back. That means he what? He can't take her back. Even though it is a what? Even though it's a bid'ah. Even though it is a bid'ah, yes.
Does she have to marry someone else before he takes her back on
If he divorces her 3 times,
Yeah.
yes. If he divorces his wife 3 times, then she has to marry someone else, get a divorce. And she can't just marry someone else, as they call it, what? What's the word they use?
Consummate.
Official?
Consummate.
Start with
It's
a M.
another word.
Yeah, I forget the words. I know what you're talking
Start
about.
with a M.
No, it's another word. It'll come to me. But a woman cannot get married to someone, let them consummate, then get a divorce just so she can go back to her husband. This is impermissible. Huh? Muhallil. It's called a muhallil. It's called a muhallil. Muhallil. A muhallil meaning this brother is making this woman halal for her first husband again. This is impermissible.
Does the man have to remarry also or no?
No, the man, no. طيب. وتسنى رجعتها. طيب. There's no sunnah and no bid'ah as it relates to a woman who does not get her menses. So let's say, for example, there's women that don't get menses, right? In a case where a woman does not get her menses, and he was intimate with her the night before, the next day he could divorce her. There's no sunnah and bid'ah associated with that. Is that clear? For the woman that does not get her menses, then there's no sunnah or bid'ah with that. Yes.
So that means that he can divorce her.
He can divorce her whenever he wants to.
With no iddah because there's no menses.
No, we didn't say no iddah shit.
I'm asking. That's
No,
what
I'm telling him. We didn't say no iddah. If a woman does not get her menses, her iddah is what? 3 months. That's what every woman thinks anyway.
Okay.
I'm gonna touch on that too when we get to the chapter iddah, but I'm gonna talk about it now. Most women think if they get a divorce, all I gotta wait is 3 months. No. A woman, her menses may come on every 40 days, every 50 days. Or may come on 3 times in 2 months. So the issue for the talaaq, the iddah is the menses, not the months. The months only become relevant if a woman does not get her menses. Likewise, if a man divorces his wife, there's no sunnah bid'ah when a woman is pregnant. Her iddah is what? When is her iddah? Her iddah is as soon as she drops her baby. So let's say realistically speaking, a woman that's pregnant can be in iddah for 8 months. Or 5 hours. Or less. For example, she could be on the hospital, in the hospital getting ready in labor. Before she starts bleeding or anything like that, he can be like, you know what, you're divorced. Right after he says you're divorced, boom. She starts bleeding, the baby comes. There's no taking her back now. It's over. The idda's over. Now she's halal for someone else to marry. Is that clear? That's not clear? Yeah.
That's not being harsh.
That's what?
That's not being harsh.
What do you mean it's not being? We're not talking about harsh or easy. We're talking about rulings in Islam. Right? This has nothing to do with how we feel. This is halal, haram. That's like the next issue. Talaaq. As it relates to divorce, then there are 2 ways of pronouncing divorce. Do we have enough time? I don't think we have enough time. What we want to do, we're gonna briefly mention this part, and then we'll expound on it next week, inshallah. Al-Talaaq. So right now, if a person wanted to get divorced, you have to say something, right? Sah? Right. So we have Talaaq. Talaaq and Qasim ila Qismain. That the Talaaq is broken down into 2 categories, 2 sections. Al-Talaaq Sarih, which means it's very clear what you want. And then we have another talaq that is kinaya. Kinaya means it's ambiguous what's being said. And this ambiguity, or this cloudiness or unclarity with the divorce, it also has 2 parts. One of them is more clear and one of them is less clear. Does that make sense? So right now, if you can just draw a mental map in your head, right? You have divorce. Divorce, 2 types. Clear divorce, like meaning the man specifically says you're divorced. And then we have something that could be ambiguous divorce. This ambiguous divorce is broken down likewise into two sections. One that is apparently clear and one that is not clear at all. We're going to talk about that inshallah. The first thing we're going to talk about is the clear divorce. So for example, Sarihuhu lafdhu talaq. A clear divorce is when a man says to his wife, you are divorced. You are what? Divorced. وَمَا تَصَرَّفَ مِنْ, and that which comes from that. What is not a divorce, if a man says, in Arabic they say غَيْرُ عَمْرٍ, meaning in Arabic or in English, because we don't speak Arabic here. A man says divorce. He's angry with his wife and he just yells divorce. Does that mean she's divorced? Yes or no? La. Right? If a man says divorces, does that mean a man and the wife, they're arguing, they're going back and forth, and he yells out divorces? Does that count as a divorce?
No.
No. If a man says, I wrote this down. If a man says to his wife, you are a divorcer, does that mean she's divorced? No. If he says, and in Arabic this is called the ism fa'il, right? In order for it to count, it has to be an ism maf'ul in Arabic, which means it has to be a direct object in English. So he says, you are divorced. You are divorced. Huh? So this means the act of divorce fell upon her. In this case, she is divorced. Is that clear? Right. So,
Does it have to be a witness?
no.
That
It's not a condition that there's a witness. Right. Now this is also very important. The next issue is An-Nabi alayhi salatu wassalam, he said in authentic hadith, ثلاثة جدهن جد وهزلهن جد النكاح والطلاق ورجعة رواه خمسة إلا النسائي. this hadith is a very important hadith that we all need to pay close attention to. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said there are three things that if you are serious about it, is serious, and if you're joking about it, it is also serious. Marriage, divorce, and taking a spouse back. These are three things that you can never, ever, ever joke about. For example, if a man's sitting here, he has a young girl, and he's like, you know what, I'm marrying my daughter. My daughter's married to you right now. Shar'an waqa. This means he's married his daughter off to this man right now. If a man's joking, and he says to his wife, get out of here, he's divorced. Joking, it counts as a divorce. If a man is joking around with his wife, and divorces her in a joke, it counts as what? A divorce. It counts as a divorce. The third one, if a man is joking, I'll take her back, but he doesn't really take her back, it counts as what? A take back. So it's three things. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that when a man is serious about it, it's serious, and when you're joking about it, it's also what? Serious. Like, I think we're going to stop with that, inshallah. If there are any questions, we'll answer some questions, inshallah. Yes. What did she say? Can you try to send it up here? Can you please send the question up front? Because we can't hear. What did she say? If you're what now? If you're divorced through a text or email, does it count? Yes. Yes. A man can be, listen, a divorce counts if a man is walking by himself down the street and says his wife is divorced, she's divorced, even though she didn't hear it or know about it. Is that clear? He could be walking down the street, mind his business. You know what, man? She's divorced. His wife is divorced. She's divorced. Yes. It's unclear. What part? What's not clear? What's not clear? So it is clear. So it's not, it's not, even though it is necessary, but it's not necessary. Meaning, it's not necessary that he informs his wife that she's divorced, even though she needs to know that she's divorced, right? If it's through text, whatever the case may be, that's like saying a man writes his wife a letter and sends her a letter and says you're divorced in a letter. It's the same. Yes.
Woman has a wali.
Also, really quick, when it comes to a clear divorce, like your divorce and all that, the intention is not, it does not matter what your intentions are. I think that needs to be clarified. If a man says to his wife, he's joking, you're divorced, she's divorced. Even if he didn't intend it. Even if his heart wasn't intending on divorcing his wife, she's divorced. This is why Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said these are from the things that we don't joke about. We don't joke about because you're talking about families, you're talking about people's lives now. Huh? Like, any other questions? Yes. Nah, you gonna get those questions to show? All right.
Is it a class here every Monday?
Yes. Go ahead. What's the question now? All right. What's the question? What is the hadith? Oh, the three things. You can find that hadith and the Sunnah Abi Dawud, Sunnah Tirmidhi, Sunnah Ibn Majah.
Make it easy as if you look out around.
It's in Bulugh al-Maram. Yeah, it is. It's in Bulugh al-Maram. What? That hadith is da'if. Many of the ulama say that hadith is, this is أبغض الحلال عند الله أو إلى الله الطلاق. This hadith, many ulama of Islam hold it not to be authentic. But you can find that hadith where? This is also in Abi Dawud and Ibn Majah. Also was reported by Imam al-Bayhaqi, kadalik, likewise by Imam al-Bayhaqi. There's a lot of kalam on that hadith though. There's a lot of kalam about it not being authentic. Any other questions? Go ahead, Fadl. What's the question? I heard part of it now. What was it? You thought I was listening? Why you sitting back?
I'm just sitting back. You ain't listening.
Come on, man. Good question. So she said, I get it. She said, well, if the Prophet ﷺ said there's no marriage without a wali, then why do we care about another position? I'll tell you why. Here's the thing. Let's assume that all the ulama don't hold the hadith to be sahih. Now what? That's number one. Maybe all of them don't hold it to be correct or authentic. That's number one. Number two, maybe they do hold it to be authentic, but they say, La nikah illa bi wali, except for the virgin. But for a woman that was already married, then she doesn't need a wali. All of these, when it comes to, this is why it's important when you have a hadith, you have to look at all of the issues surrounding the hadith. Now, I'm not saying that we take the position that a woman gets married without a wali, but it's a respected position from the Salaf. Even though the hadith is authentic, now what's the understanding of the hadith? Because there are other narrations that you'll find people of the past got married without walis. If you really want to open up the can of worms, we can really dig deep. And then you'll be like, okay, I respect that position, but I don't follow it because that's not what I know. But a lot of times on these issues, it's not just black and white, oh, this imam said it, but we got a clear hadith. It doesn't work like that. It only works like that in English. When you study Islam, it don't work that way. Because now you're forced to look at other positions and why they say what they say. What evidence do they use? And you're going to find that they use evidence. And then you're going to find some of the Sahaba may have done it. And you're going to find, you're like, whoa. So this is what happens. So for that reason, the four imams, it's important that all of the ulama in general, they look at the speech of the ulama that came before them. Especially on issues that were already discussed. Now, we done, inshallah? Bye. Inshallah, we'll wait till next week, inshallah. Oh, no, go ahead. If there's one more question, go ahead. Type, go ahead. Does she need a wali to stand up for her in marriage even though she has been married before? Is she married now? I don't know what that means, but I will say this. We're going to hold on to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he said, La nikah illa bi wali, that there's no marriage unless there is a wali. Regardless of whether she was married previously, got a divorce, and she needs to get married again, she still needs to have a wali. If she's having marital problems and she doesn't have a wali, then she needs to go to people who she trusts that can help her situation. Go to people whom she trusts that can help her situation. Right. And with that, we're going to finish. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.